Yeah, thank you guys for being here, and just have a lot of respect for Michigan State. Robin, I think, is doing a heck of a job building this program, and I don't think the way that her team was tonight is reflective of how well they've been playing. And so just, want to give a shout out to them in terms of how hard they compete and how much they kept at us and, persevering. And, they made us better in that way. So credit to how they kept fighting. But any questions on your side?
Your defense held Grace Van Sluten to 3 for 12 from the field with only 8 points on the night. With her being such a dominant force in Michigan State's offense, what was your game plan to really lock her down and force her to go outside?
Yeah, we really, the shots she hit, 4 of them were, perimeter jump shots, and I've been watching Grace for a long time, and she's a heck of a player. She's going to be playing at the next level. I think, but the reality is she doesn't have to go against people like Lauren Betts very much. And so, especially in the first half, we switched all the ball screens except with Lauren and Grace so that we could keep that matchup the best we could. And I think one of the reasons we were able to do that is we were really trying to take away their right-hand drives. And they have some really dominant downhill drivers when they can get to that right hand. And what that does is it forces rotation if we don't take that away one-on-one. And now Grace is free on the offensive glass, and that's where she really cleans up a lot of the time. And so because we took away those right-hand drives, we were able to stay home on the matchup with Lauren versus Grace. And that's an advantage we have, and that's why we were able to do that.
Can you just describe the defensive effort as a whole? Obviously, Robin has some teams that can score pretty well.
Yeah.
Counting the 20 points in the first half, season low, 63 as well, too.
Yeah, I think, we have ability. We're sort of big across the whole, lineup. And so we went to switching everything. And I just didn't think they had the there wasn't a huge mismatch even when we switched and they tried to roll and post up our guards. And so I think, we have some luxuries in that way to be able to switch and keep people in front of us and try to keep teams from being able to hunt advantages that they usually can get. And so I think, and it's hard to simulate that. And so I think we have an advantage that way. But we also have the reigning defensive national player of the year, as well as I think some people like Charlize Ledger-Walker, Kiki Rice, and others, Angela Dugalich, I think are elite defenders as well. And so that's really helped us take a step up on the defensive end.
Hey, Coach. So the rebounding battle, you guys dominated all night. I'm just curious, was there anything you saw on game film to kind of exploit MSU on the boards?
Well, I mean, it's effort. And I thought they did a great job in the second half. I thought they beat us to all the loose balls and all the rebounding situations in the second half. But in the first half, again, when you don't allow teams to find advantages and force rotations, you're going to have the advantage on the box outs as well. And that's not just Grace, that's everybody across the board. And so that is what you saw. We really respected them. We thought this was going to be a possession game. We did not do a good job taking care of the ball, but we thought if we could out-rebound them and take care of the ball, and just get, even if we just get even possessions, but if we got more possessions, I thought we had probably more weapons to be able to win. But I thought they were going to press us even more. But I think the first 2 times that they pressed us, we got really easy shots on the other end, and so they backed off a little bit. But they're a really good rebounding team, but it goes back to forcing rotation. So like when you flip that around, when you have someone like Lauren who forces rotation on almost every catch and forces you to do those kinds of advantage plays on the other side, well, that's what opened up some of our guard rebounding and some of our 4 players attacking from that, because conversely, we were forcing them to get into rotation almost every time. And it's really hard once you're in rotation to get out and make contact on all those box outs.
Coach, so I'm going to kind of piggyback off that. I'm sure you knew coming in when you watched our film,
right,
that one of the strengths of Michigan State was the fact that their guards rebound well weak side.
Yeah, really well. And they back cut really well, too. Mm-hmm.
Talk about what, I guess, your plan was to take that away from them.
Yeah, I think that rebounding for us, it was really about keeping them in front. And so we wanted to dare them to shoot some jumpers by the right people, and especially off the bounce, because we thought that if we got too high or got too aggressive, they were either going to get behind us on offensive rebounding crashes or they were going to get back cuts. And so we wanted to be a little lower in our gaps and be able to see everything in front of us so that we could maintain that kind of advantage.
Coach, you've returned 60% of your minutes and 70% of your scoring from last year's roster. So they're having that built-in chemistry and also so much veteran leadership on this team. When it comes to road trips like this, how important is it to have things like that?
I mean, huge. We're in midterms this week. Everybody else, I was actually talking to Robin about this, everybody else in the Big Ten besides the West Coast schools only take one of these long trips. We take 4 of them. And this is our last one. And, so we've been gone a long time. We're in midterms. I thought it was a business-like mature trip for us to go into. We told our team all week, hey, this is going to be like a Sweet 16 and Elite 8 game, but it's going to be on a hostile environment. It's not going to be on a neutral court. And how tough can you be? How business-minded can you be? And I thought they were really level. It just goes back to maturity. They know what it takes. I think we're one of the only teams that I hear of. We never practice after the first game. And we really recover. We watch film. We're really used to it because in the Pac-12, you had that second one-day prep all the time. And so we're really comfortable in that rhythm. So we really use that, that first day after we had played Michigan to recover and to get our bodies right and to do the mental side of the preparation. And then we sort of got after it yesterday in our preparation here. But I just think I have the luxury of having players that don't need a ton of physical reps because they have a lot of experience. They're very committed. They're a very high IQ and hard-working team. And so it's an advantage that I have that few do.
It's hard to take your eyes off Lauren wherever she is.
Yeah.
When she's on the bench and she's cheering for her sister, everybody else, she's so into the game. What does that say about her?
Well, we talk about being lifestyle givers and not lifestyle takers is one of our core values. And I actually just challenged them that this morning. Like, everybody's got to find ways to give, add value. Like, who would say about you, I was different because Lauren was there today, or I was different because Kiki came and built me up, or whatever the case might be. And I think Lauren, she's really she's a total, I call them balcony people, when those people that are hanging over your balcony of life going, you got this, you got this. And Lauren is a spectacular balcony person for her teammates, and especially for her sister. And so I really enjoy that she celebrates other people's success on a very consistent basis. That's not something you just saw today. That has been very consistent. It's consistent in practice. It's consistent when things are going well, when it's hard. And I think that's one of her superpowers, because when you have someone that garners that much attention, but she's just for you when you get your chance, that goes a long way for our culture.
As a coach, what do you take away from a game like this where you have 18 turnovers and you
Yeah.
lose the turnover margin, but you still win by 20?
Yeah, I really hardly ever swear, but I just said, I just got to chew your you-know-whats about this, because I really trust their work ethic. They see it just like I see it, and we haven't been able to turn it consistently in that area specifically in taking care of the ball. And I think that it tells me that that area, they haven't had the maturity to change it. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more aggressive to do so. But I actually think they're willing to. And I just told them, I said, you need to be able to get ready for that and lean into it, because your way hasn't worked. So we're going to try mine. But I think that we talk all the time about the standard, staying present and focusing on giving to each other and growing to the standard, period, all the time. And, people ask me all the time about the NCAA tournament and March and where we want to be and cutting down nets. And I'm like, oh, there's a tournament? I'm only focused on right now and relentlessly pursuing our growth and excellence today. But we got exposed. And I think every game shows you your areas, right, that you need to focus on the most. And I think that taking care of the ball is probably the biggest one for us right now. And then winning 50-50s. I thought Michigan State out-hustled us. And there were 50-50s that we watched. We just have more offensive weapons. And so in more ways that we can find to win possessions. But believe me, we got plenty to work on. And credit to Michigan State that they exposed some of those, but it's all about the standard and it's all about getting better today.
Last question for us.
Are you in position to win the regular season title of the Big Ten? Now, this is obviously a huge conference with a lot of ranked teams.
Incredible.
Number one is how big a goal is that? And number two, you got a shot to run the table in the Big Ten and go undefeated with 4 games to go. Is that another incentive for the team?
Yeah, I don't think we really talk about, something I really learned when I coached with USA Basketball. I noticed this right away. They've won more gold medals in women's basketball on the national team level than anyone. It's like ridiculous success. And they never talk about gold medals. But what they do talk about all the time is gold medal habits. And so we don't really talk about championships or cutting down nets, but we do talk about the habits and the process and the journey that it takes to be at that level when your best is needed. As Coach Wooden would describe competitive greatness as being your best when your best is needed. And so I just am never gonna, if you start talking about, if you have one eye on winning championships or going undefeated, that means you only have one eye on what it actually takes to get there. And I am just relentlessly trying to get our team. We do this exercise almost every day to start film. Coach Tasha leads our mind gym, our mental conditioning program, and she says, draw one circle and then draw an inner circle. And on the outside of that circle, draw all the outside noise, draft boards, families, expectations, whatever, that can be coming in to distract you from giving and growing. And then in the inner circle, write down what are the things you have control over that you're going to completely focus in on and bring your mindset to. And the reality is, for me, is there's so much out of my control of winning the conference championship or going undefeated or fill in the blanks, but I have complete control over what I put my mind on in that inner circle. And so I am just going to consistently just go back to that. And I hope we have championship habits and that a championship is a byproduct from that. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate your coverage and how you're telling the stories. Thank you.
Thanks.